I just finished Ender's Game, the first book in Orson Scott Card's popular science fiction series. You might remember that Ender's Game was made into a movie a couple of years ago, and I actually did something that I don't normally do and watched the movie before I read the book, mostly because I had never heard of the series before my husband wanted to see the movie. I enjoyed the movie, and because I know that books are typically better than movies, I decided to start reading the book 2 years later. Hey, what can I say? My reading list is really long. Ender's Game, the book, was really interesting and hard to put down after a certain point. Orson Scott Card is a master at creating a world that seems believable and yet foreign, which is pretty much what you're always trying to do with science fiction. You're trying to create a world that feels impossible and yet real all at once, and Card does this really well. Ender's Game began as a short story originally, printed in the August 1977 issue of Analog Science Fiction and Fact. Card developed it into a novel that was printed in 1985. The novel follows Ender Wiggin, a gifted boy who is said to be the savior of Earth's people. It takes place in future Earth, where the military forces are training young children in combat against an insectoid alien species known as buggers. After the novel was published, Card got all kinds of letters from gifted children and teens, who said they could identify with Ender as an outcast in his environment, and the story helped them feel more comfortable with who they are. I think that's super cool. One of my favorite quotes from Ender's Game is this: "There's only one thing that will make them stop hating you, and that's being so good at what you do that they can't ignore you." You won't see another video from me for a couple of weeks, because this next week I'll be taking a Sabbath rest. I try to do this every 7 weeks because it helps me return to my work with renewed energy and love for what I do. I write 5 days a week and log an average of 40,000 words each week, and this is pretty grueling for a writer. I need a rest to keep my writing fresh, and so I rest every 7 weeks. Usually I'll spend my Sabbath week learning something new or hanging out with my kids, but this Sabbath will include a kidless weekend with my husband, Ben, because it's our 12th anniversary. In honor of our 12th anniversary, I thought I'd share a little about our love story. Ben and I met when we were still teenagers. We had a mutual friend who happened to play bass in my campus ministry band. I was the worship leader, and Ben was said to be a pretty good guitar player, so I let him join. The first time we met, on the campus of Texas State University in San Marcos, Texas, I thought he was the biggest dork ever, with that curly black hair and a voice most girls would swoon over. Didn't work on me, though. It was not love at first sight, but 2 years later, we were hanging out with another mutual friend, and I realized my feelings had changed. We had done a lot of growing in those 2 years. So for our first date, we visited this place called Prayer Mountain in Wimberley, Texas, to watch the sunrise. It was cloudy that day, so there was no sunrise. But then we headed to downtown San Antonio, where we toured the Riverwalk and held hands and drove the 45 minutes home, where Ben fell asleep in the middle of my talking. 2 months later, he proposed to me on the stage of the Majestic Theater in San Antonio, where he'd taken me to see the Nutcracker Ballet. He dressed in a tux, and I wore a fancy red dress, and the whole theater shouted out, "What did she say?" An embarrassing moment for an introvert like me, but still pretty romantic. We married on a rainy day in October. So I've been sort of competing with myself in all my writing projects. I've been trying not to just exceed my word counts from the previous weeks, but actually smash them. I did that this week. Last week's word count total was 42,800 words. This week's was 49,300 words. So I'm getting better and faster. Some people may look at that astronomical word count and think, there's no way I could ever do that. But I just want to say that the only way you can get better and faster as a writer is to first write, and then keep writing. And the only competition is yourself. That's all I'm going to say about that for now. This week we watched Disney's 2015 film Cinderella. I had seen this movie with my oldest son when it came out, because he was sick the day his class went to see it on a field trip. I couldn't wait to see it again, though. This movie is one of the most beautifully filmed movies I've seen in a really long time. The camera angles, the lighting, the script writing, everything is just lovely. My favorite actress in the film was Cate Blanchett, as Lady Tremaine, Cinderella's wicked stepmother. She did a phenomenal job portraying the character and even made me feel a little sorry for the stepmother. If you haven't seen this film, you owe it to yourself to see it. Like today. Like right now. Go. Oh wait, but first, let me tell you that the film was directed by Kenneth Branagh, and I'm probably saying that wrong, but I don't care. The screenplay was written by Chris Weitz. Both are just crazy talented guys. I'm super impressed with their work, and it actually takes quite a bit to impress me. I'll be releasing a book of poetry on October 15th called This Is How You Know. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Facebook, you can see some videos I've already created, giving you an inside look into how this book came about. I may even do some live Periscope readings for some of the poems, but I do have 6 kids, so stay tuned. You can follow me on Periscope at Rachel Toalson. I'm really excited about this project and can't wait to share my new book, This Is How You Know, on October 15th. Thank you for watching.